Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there is no spoiler alerts on this video because if you have clicked on this specific video, you know exactly what we are going to be talking about. Within the Interstellar Contest episode, we got two major reveals. One was one everyone was expecting, that the Rani would actually be Mrs. Flood. The next reveal is something that I don't think anybody was expecting to come from this episode. We got to see Susan Foreman, the Doctor's granddaughter, in this episode. We will be talking about all of that in today's video, mainly focusing on both Susan and the Rani. But before that, I do want to say this episode was pretty solid. I highly recommend, if you haven't already, while you're watching this video, you've just been spoiled, but go and check out the episode. We first see Susan in this episode as the Doctor starts to freeze. It starts covering his entire body, and we see images of Susan within the Doctor's mind in the current TARDIS. He's trying to will him to go on, push through what he's going through, and come and find me, beckoning to him. Which not only do I think this is a great solution to the problem that Russell T Davies put the Doctor in right here, right? Of course the Doctor's going to push through for his granddaughter of all people, but as well, I think this sets up the finale is incredibly interesting, as I definitely think Susan Foreman will play a big part, or a small part to some capacity, but a very important one. Of course, like I said towards the beginning of the video, this was completely unexpected. Of course, last season, lots of people thought that Susan would come back. I made a whole video about how I thought Susan could be the one who waits. It made sense. Lots of people thought Susan would come back. We had loads of hints, name drops. Even in the finale, we had a few name drops of Susan. But now we've finally got her back, and it was genuinely great to see her in this episode. We next see flashes of Susan in the Doctor's mind. When the Doctor goes too far, he lets the darkness in, the Time Lord Victorious comes out, and he starts, torturing somebody. Not only was it incredible to see the Doctor go this dark and this far, and some people are calling this out, saying this is out of character, when it definitely is not. It was really fascinating, interesting to see Ncuti Gatwa pull this off so well, especially interjecting with the flashes of Susan Foreman telling her grandfather to stop. Like, this scene just really works. Seeing the Doctor go this dark, Susan Foreman trying to, calm him down, and it just really not working. Belinda walks in on him, genuinely torturing somebody, and it is just such a great scene. It works so well. It's probably the best scene of the episode, thanks partly to Carol Ann Ford's performance. We next see Susan Foreman when the Doctor is explaining to Belinda why the possible 3 trillion deaths really triggered the Doctor and pushed him so far, as it reminded him of the death of the Time Lords, the instant death of every single Time Lord, and we then see flashes of his granddaughter in his head. It works really well, a great scene. And though of all the scenes that Susan was in this episode, to see Susan return in any capacity was shocking. I didn't think they would do it after last series. I thought, maybe they'd got our hopes up and that Susan wouldn't be returning. But to see Susan in this episode so surprisingly was great, and I think they really pulled it off. And it was incredible to see Carol Ann Ford back in the role of Susan. I really don't think it would have worked as well if they had just simply recasted her. I think that would have been incredibly disrespectful. It would have been the wrong move, and to see Carol Ann Ford back as Susan, like how it was in this episode and how they really pushed it was great. I really love to see it. And I genuinely can't wait to see more of Susan Foreman over the next 2 episodes. But of course, that wasn't the only big reveal. The reveal that everybody thought was going to happen, the one everybody had predicted, the one everyone's been saying for the past 2 years or so since season 1, right? Even before season 1, people predicted that Mrs. Flood would be the Rani. We get this reveal right at the end of the episode. Mrs. Flood has been frozen, which means that she has to regenerate. And she starts regenerating, she starts bi-generating, and then, we get a brand new Rani there and then. I think this is really interesting that Russell T Davies has decided to bring back the bi-generation and use it on Mrs. Flood or the Rani. I think it puts the finale in kind of a weird place, because this means now we have 2 Ranis. Which one are we actually focusing on? The newer version or the Mrs. Flood incarnation? Because of course the Mrs. Flood incarnation is going to have the bigger payoff when the Doctor finally finds out that Mrs. Flood is the Rani, and all the other characters that know Mrs. Flood, like Belinda, Chandra and Ruby Sunday, find out that, Mrs. Flood, their next door neighbour, was, a time lady all along. Yeah, that would be a great reveal, rather than the new Rani, who, she seems like she's a great actress, and she really just fit into the role really well. But, I think the Mrs. Flood reveal would have just been 10 times better in the actual finale. And I think this just didn't land as well as, seeing Susan Foreman in the episode, because everyone kind of already knew that Mrs. Flood was going to be the Rani, right? Or going to be a Time Lord of some type. This wasn't like a huge shock to anybody. This is something that people have been predicting for a good year and a bit now. Saying that, I think there was still something missing here, because even though everybody had predicted it's Sutek's reveal. Sutek's reveal is one of my favorites in the entire show. How they pull that off, the music, seeing Sutek, the speech that's been given by one of his harbingers, it's really chilling. It's some really good stuff. The Doctor's reaction, the scene is really good. You forget how good The Legend of Ruby Sunday actually is, because, you know, the Empire of Death, for a lot of people, really lets it down. Unfortunately, that Rani reveal just, you know, didn't have that same impact, but I'm really, really glad, though, that we have the Rani back. We're in a position where the Rani's back and Susan Foreman's back. These are two absolute gigantic characters people have wanted back for years, and it's great to see them. But there is, as we probably both know now, that these will be in the finale. I personally think the Rani will try to kill Susan Foreman, maybe as a last-ditch effort when their plans go wrong, and the Doctor goes in to save Susan, or vice versa. The Rani just tries to do a last-ditch effort to kill the Doctor, and Susan Foreman sacrifices herself, and we start to see her regenerate. I think this is something that could really realistically happen in the episode, and I can't wait to see more of these characters. I can't wait to see more of Carol Ann Ford as Susan Foreman. That's probably the most excited I am for this finale. That's what's made me so excited for it. But everybody watching, what are your thoughts on this? Please feel free to comment down below. Comment down below your theories as well. I'm really interested to see what you, the audience, have to say about this, because I know me, when I was sitting there watching this episode, seeing Susan Foreman come back on the screen, I had to rewind. I had to take a minute, but I just did not expect it. Thank you for watching today's YouTube video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a future video. I want to do a couple more videos on this episode and the finale, so yeah, so make sure you don't miss those.